Hey, it's Jack from Alpha Charts with a state of the market video. Today is May 28th, 2022. Before we get started, this video is for informational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security. Now, I may hold positions in some of the equities mentioned. Know your time frame and risk tolerance. And again, if you like these videos, please like and subscribe, especially the subscribe part to my YouTube channel. Really does help me out. And I like to see those numbers going up. It just gives me more gives me more reason to keep making these videos. And again, I do appreciate all of your support. So thank you very much. Couple other little notes. Again, broken hand, so I'll be a little slow on the charts today, maybe typing them in, a little pecky. And also, oh, I'm going on vacation. So there will probably be there won't be any video probably for 2 weeks because I'll be gone. So just so you know, be 2-week vacation or so. And yeah, so that's that. It's my notices. All right, here we go. Stocks to watch. SPX. So we have the Head and Shoulders top, right? It kind of broke down, got to the measured move. Again, if we're using this as the neckline, this green area right here, then the measured move would have been right to the VWAP low. It hit it and it bounced. And again, that was a possibility. Now, we're coming back into overhead supply, right? Overhead supply. This was support, 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 support. So what happens on Tuesday when the markets reopen? No one knows, of course, but would not be shocked if you see a little bit of a pullback, and then we'll see if these moving averages can offer some kind of support, or if it just slices right through it. No idea what's going to happen as far as that goes. But again, just being aware that, things got kind of extended. 3 days of nice gains, 1%, 2%, 2.5%. That's a lot, it's 4.5%, 5.5%. So that's a big move. So I would not be shocked to see it Monday or, Tuesday, a pullback, and then how it pulls back and what happens at that point. That's where we're going to, does it make a higher low or does it roll over completely? We'll find out. But again, it is extended short term. It happened pretty quick, and we'll get into some of the things we saw midweek and intra-week that made that kind of happen. All right. So SPX, and then there's RSP. So the equal weight did actually even better, than the the weighted S&P, right? So if you notice, it stuck the landing on the VWAP from the COVID lows, and again, it went back above this area of support. So it's actually, or resistance, I should say. So it actually, much more of a broad-based rally, which is actually nice to see. And we saw declining, 250-day moving averages. So price may be coming into that 50-day. So maybe the equal weight goes up a little bit more, touches the 50-day, and then rolls over, makes a higher low, and then maybe goes higher. I love how these are already curling up. And if we don't get some kind of crazy day on Tuesday, Wednesday, they will cross bullishly on the short term moving averages. I think that's a really, really big positive. And if you notice during the week, I was looking at the ratio of RSP to SPX, and it's kind of it's at the inflection point where equal weights are trying and starting to, and have been actually, outperforming the cap weighted. So your Amazon, Apples, all those folks that are cap, in the cap weighted, the equal weight is really, really looking to break out. And I think that's, if it does break out, right, if moves higher here, giant positive for the market, which means that people are buying and new leadership is being created. And I think that's the most important thing. New leadership is being created. That's what that shows me. So we need to be watching for that. Moving on to the Qs. All right, so this is a 2018 VWAP, right? I think it's 2019, from 2019. And price for whatever reason stopped there. There's also a gap here. So, do I know which one's more important and why price did what it did? Nope, no idea. I do know that it had a nice rally off that area though. And yeah, it got extended pretty good. It went from 285-ish to 309. That's a nice big rally right there. And again, is it extended? Yeah, it's a little extended. So, maybe it has to come back down to this 300, let 300 hold and then bounce back up, right? We would love to see something like this. Again, I'm slow with this. Like that, right? That's what I would love to see for the bullish scenario. So I was declining all these moving averages and probably needs to carve out a bottom. And this may be, the left side of the base, and now needs to cover the bottom and then the right side of the base, right? So that's the bullish scenario right there, right? We'll see if it happens. Volume isn't in yet, but here's the thing about volume. So when you're carving out, especially the left side of the base, you have a lot of non-believers and people that aren't on board yet. So I'm not surprised that we're seeing a lack of volume here. I want to see this thrust in volume on the right side of the base. That tells me that people are starting to flood back in. This right here just means that the sellers are tired and the buyers are starting to filter in, but there's not a ton of them. But I think that's a good sign, actually. I think that's healthy to create this type of base. We'll see if it comes to fruition, but that's not a bad thing. Looking at the equal weights, again, a nice big move from here to here, 8.3%. Is that for the week? Let's take a look here. It'd be easier if I just do this. 7% for the week. So a 7% move for the week in the Qs. That's equal weight Qs. So that's a huge move. Huge move for the equal weights. And if you notice, it's starting to get above, extend this out. It's popping through here. Again, you're starting to see the curl on the shorter term moving averages on the equal weights. That's very nice. Still have the declining moving averages. So that's going to be some overhead issues. And there's a VWAP here, which, may or may not be important from the COVID lows. But the point being is that we had a nice big move and it's a start. So, and the equal weight Qs looks a lot like, equal weight Qs versus the cap rated Qs looks a lot like SPX, right? And that versus the equal weight versus non-equal weight. You had this little, want to be breakout right here, didn't quite stick, that's fine. But didn't really fall apart either. Moving averages are catching up. You have a 50-day that's starting to curl up, and maybe the 200-day will start to flatten. I think that would be, this is definitely a bullish look if the equal weights can start to move higher. Again, that tells me that new leadership is trying to be created. It's no longer Apple and Amazon and whatever else, Tesla. So that is, I think it's important, right? So, yeah. So that's good. Let's look at, what should we do next? Let's do IWM. IWM held where it needed to, right? We talked about this area being, there's a gap here we were watching as well, but we were talking about this area, and it held, and that was a major area, and that's gigantic, right? That's exactly what you want to see. Now, does it come back and retest one time or make a higher low? It could, but again, you have the nice little curl there, declining longer term moving averages. This was a big ass decline, so that's to be expected, but this very could be the left side of the base. Again, drawing a volume here. I wouldn't be surprised if you see this a pullback and then move higher. Here's your trend line right there that's now being created. So again, this could be all summer long. It may not be till August till we break back out of here, right? It could be August, could be July, could be June, who knows? But it's trying to make, and I'm looking for symmetry. Joe Family talks about symmetry a lot. And I think that symmetry is going to be important here because, this was a fairly brutal decline, right? I mean, top to bottom, you're talking, 31% decline. That's a serious bear market, right? And that was from November to June. So you're talking about, basically June, end of May. So 6-month, 7-month bear market, 31% decline. Yeah, congratulations, you made it through it, right? That's pretty awesome. But yeah, so I would love to see some chopping around, some higher lows being created, and then the right side of a base, and then volume coming in on this side. Remember, it's also an election year, so that end of July, August, September time, that'd be a great time for the right side of a base to be created, because usually there's political stuff happening that could influence the stock market. So we'll see if that happens or not. But again, I think very, very constructive on the IWM, IWO, which is the small cap growth. We had the breakdown below that level that we talked about, and it looks like it's trying to come back in. So again, you get in the curl here. There's a 50-day not too far above it. And I love that about these charts. 50-day isn't that far away. So, make a higher low, and then before you know it, you're above the 50-day again, and that's going to start to flatten. And again, that's just going to be a gigantic, hopefully, tailwind for the market once price, or if price, gets back above the 50-day on all of these indexes, because that's going to hopefully kick in some buy programs, and I think that'll be a positive. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. We'd love to see, it's kind of what I drew out. We'll just adjust it a little bit. That's what we do, right? Technical analysis. But yeah, so IWO, a false breakdown and a fast move higher, that would be pretty positive. Just look at the mid caps, MDY. And held up really better than most. I mean, the 200-day is just starting to break down. So 50 days right above it. So would love to see this really create, to get back above the 50-day pretty quickly. And again, I think a lot of new leadership is going to come from the MDY. I always like to scan using MDY or greater, because mid caps are companies that are not little tiny baby companies. They have some meat to them, and they have some market cap, and they withstood the bear market pretty good, and they're going to come out strong. So I do love to see that the mid caps are starting to that held out the best. I think it's a really positive situation as well. So that looks good there. Let's get into some ETFs. We talked about XLF, and XLF really wanted to hold this area, didn't really come down to test it, and it bounced. This was just a super important area, this 3150-ish. Only got down to 32-ish or so. Pretty darn close though. And then it popped. We'll see if that continues. Maybe it rolls over and actually does test it. Maybe it doesn't. But again, moved higher. So it's definitely participating in this market. And again, there's your 50-day, not too far above it. We'd love to see a higher low. Nothing goes straight up. So don't be afraid of some early weakness in some of these names. SMH, probably the most important, held the area, right? This was, it's a pretty good sized topping pattern. Doesn't mean it's still not going to play out. It definitely could play out. But as of right now, it is back above the 50-day moving average. Giant positive, right? I mean, that's awesome. You almost have a bullish cross here on the on the shorter term moving averages. But I love that it's back above the 50-day. SMH leading higher, right? And we know it's leading higher because it's above the 50-day. It led lower, it led higher. Giant week on it. Let's actually just go to the weekly chart, make my life easy. As soon as trading view comes in, 7.64 on the week. Looks really good. And again, a back above the 50-day, maybe the most bullish thing I've seen all week, so far at least. So love that. Absolutely love that. Again, it's a great indicator, and we know that SMH, or the semiconductor area, is potentially leading this out. So it could be a potential place to get long. But again, that's a different video. Let's look at lumber. Was it I'm debating whether I should take lumber out of this particular video. I've been doing it for a while. I'm not sure if it's leading higher or not, but here's what we can say. It's back above all of its moving averages. So maybe it is leading higher at this point, right? You have the cross on the shorter term, back above the 200-day, back above the 50-day solidly. So I think that's a positive. So maybe we'll leave it in here a little bit longer. Again, did it give me a signal early on? Not really. But I do like that lumber and the wood ETF is back above all of its moving averages, and they never really turned lower. I guess this was declining a little bit, and the 200-day really didn't. Anyway, point being is that it's back above all of them, and that's a positive. Let's look at the VIX. So I was really looking for a VIX washout, and it never really happened. And let's get rid of some of these moving averages because I feel like they just clutter up and muddy up the chart. Come on. And 200 days left. There we go. All right. So VIX never really washed out. It did get up to this 36%. 36, not percent, but 36. It never gave me the 38-ish. And it doesn't mean it's not going to. But what I did see was that it came back down pretty hard. So the movement down, that was a bullish sign, right? And maybe it didn't have to wash out completely. Or maybe this is just a counter trend rally and we still need to get that washout, right? Just means that this is just part of the program. But either way, this look back under, 2650-ish, that's a very positive, I'm not sure why 2643 I put there, but yeah, for 2650-ish, I think that's definitely a positive look to it, right? VIX coming back in, that means, we're in a tradable scenario. At least that's the way I look at it. Looking at the bonds, this is what really drew me into the market this week. And again, I posted some of these on Twitter. So if you don't follow me at AlphaCharts365, you're missing some of this midweek stuff. But look how the bond spreads literally came right back in. I mean, that really is what caught my attention. Not 1 day, not 2 day. And if you look at, let's go to the bar chart. That day right there, that caught my attention. This caught my attention. It continued lower on Friday. And that's when the market really turned. So there was a lot of information looking at this midweek. Came right back in. Again, we don't know if this is, if it bounces here, moves higher, doesn't. I don't know. Could. We have to be open to everything. This could be a head fake to draw in the bulls. It could be a bull trap, but that really looks very positive. VIX came in, bond spreads, they tightened up. That was really, really positive. Looking at some breadth studies, value line geometric, back into this area. Again, does this become resistant and does it roll over? It's possible, right? It's very possible. So we have to be aware of that, that we may have some early week weakness, and then we'll see if it makes a higher low or not, right? Higher low, low, higher low. Does it make another higher low and then go higher? That'd be the bullish scenario. Going back to bonds real fast. Let's look at the 10-year yield. We've talked about this downtrend line from 1980, was it 1 or something? Yeah, 1981. And this area, this 3.1% area, has been important in the past multiple times, and so far stayed important. So now here's the question: does this come right back in? And it's just, we'll call that a retest of this line, and I'd be fine doing that. Or is this going to turn over and break out and move higher? Again, if this breaks above 3.1, 3.2, we'll call it 3.2. This gets above 3.2. It's very, very bad scenario for the market, in my opinion, especially if it looks like this or like this. I think those are the scenarios that are going to be very, very detrimental to the market. If it continues to roll back over and even just chops around in this range underneath this downtrend line, that's fine. And maybe that's what happens. But yeah, the 10-year yield, coming back in, that's a huge tailwind for the market. And, started doing that on, at the beginning of May. And as soon as it kind of came back down pretty good, things started to bottoming action started happening in the market. So as long as this can stay, under 3-ish, I think that that's definitely a tailwind for growth stocks, especially looking at MMFI, which is a percent of stocks above the 50-day moving average. Again, nice little breath thrust. Looks good. We had a bunch of days of 80%, I believe, up days. So that's a big deal. Never got the washout I was looking for. It doesn't mean that we're not going to get it. Maybe this ends up being just a lower high, right? And it rolls back over. That's always a possibility. But as of right now, that's not what we have. So right now, back to 38% above the 50-day moving average. Very positive on breath. Nice move off these lows, which was, listen, 12% is pretty low, right? So it's not like we didn't get like really low in breath. We just didn't get that extreme area I was really looking for. Again, doesn't mean we're not in a scenario like this, right? So this can happen right here. Just be aware. This can happen right here. Just be aware, right? It doesn't have to be like this. This can happen like this. Again, this did wash out, but you get my gist. This can happen, where you get a washout or close to a washout, like here, and then it rolls back over eventually after a nice little rally, right? That's a pretty strong rally right there. So just be aware that this could roll over, and this may be a bear market rally. Looking at gold, GLD, again, nothing to see here really, to be honest with you. So that's a positive. And then let's look at Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, I think, is where there's something to see. Because right now, and again, we've talked about this flag now a couple of weeks, right? Almost the whole month of May. And it's still creating this bear flag, if it is a bear flag. And it doesn't want to break down, but doesn't want to break out either. So, you have buyers supporting it here. You have sellers selling into it here. And it's getting tight. I mean, it's going to happen soon. It's a 3-day weekend. Maybe this weekend it chooses a direction. If this breaks higher, bull on. I mean, I think it's a very good sign for the bull market. If this breaks down this weekend, I think know where your risk is, right? Know where your stops are, because a closing basis, even in this area, that would be, hasn't done that in a very long time. I mean, last time we did that is, 2 years ago. I mean, it's a long time ago, a year and a half ago, whatever. So anyway, so watch Bitcoin. If this breaks this weekend, it may give us a clue. If it breaks out, that also will give us some information. Okay. So in the end, I think the state of the market is definitely I think we're in a yellow range. And of course, I did not wasn't prepared for this. Let me see if I can get that up. No more red. Let me move this to the other screen and get my new my other one. There we go. We are in a yellow status, right? So state of the market's a little bit unclear. I think smaller positions, keep stops close. I think, listen, I say max 50% invested. You can do whatever you want to. And things start to stop out, stay in cash. So I think we're in a yellow light scenario right here. So just be aware of that. Hopefully that popped up on the screen okay for you guys. I never know with Zoom which screen it's going to do, but definitely yellow light. Is this a bull trap? It could be. We still have, the longer term moving averages, overhead and declining. So this could just be a bear market rally because of this scenario, right? So make sure we're aware of this. Definitely, yellow light though, right? I mean, if we can get a higher low, if you can find low risk entries into what's working, no reason not to go for it. Again, knowing where your stops are, give it a try. Even if this is a bear market rally, let's make some money, over the next week or two, and then we'll go from there, right? What else? And again, tomorrow will be my stocks to watch video. A lot of sectors are starting to set up, a couple specific, like in the chemical names and whatever. So they've had some really nice moves. So I'll be going over a bunch of those names tomorrow. Again, stocks to watch. Remember, I will be on vacation next 2 weeks, so there won't be any videos at all for about 2 weeks. But good luck out there, guys. Stay safe. Hope you like this. Again, if you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, go ahead and give me a subscribe. Again, I do appreciate that. Y'all take care.